Something that I see a lot in fantasy writers today is this general cynicism and even hatred toward religion. Um, Religious groups, religious structures are often depicted in fantasy novels as being intrinsically manipulative, evil, trying to gain power, authority, wealth. And as a very religious person myself, that presents an interesting dynamic. When I interact with other fantasy writers and when I look at the ideas that they're discussing. Um, and of course, one writer that I like is Brandon Sanderson, and he, of course, is also a member of my church, and so he has a similar view that I do, and you can see that he is religious, but he also still has a certain level of cynicism. Part of that is because if you look at the history of our church, we have been persecuted. We understand the evils that can come from religion, when it becomes this controlling force in society, right? But see, one of the things that people often say about religion is that it divides people. It divides people, and I think that is actually a misconception in general, and it's important to get this right if you want to write about humans and how humans work. Because yes, religious conflicts exist, but you need to understand. Like here's a quote. There's a great book that I read recently called *Sapiens* by a guy named Yuval Noah Harari, and he's actually an atheist. But I love this book, and I love the things he has to say. He says, "Today, religion is often considered a source of discrimination, disagreement, and disunion. Yet, in fact, religion has been the third great unifier of humankind alongside money and empires. Since all social orders and hierarchies are imagined, they are all fragile. And the larger the society, the more fragile it is. The crucial historical role of religion has been to give superhuman legitimacy to these fragile structures. Religions assert that our laws are not the result of human caprice, but are ordained by an absolute and indisputable authority. This helps place at least some fundamental laws beyond challenge, thereby ensuring social stability. Religion can thus be defined as a system of human norms and values that is founded on a belief in a superhuman order." I love that. I think that's a great definition of religion. And it is true, religion has become one of the great unifying forces in the world. But of course, the other side of that is that where you have all of Europe unified as Christian, and when you have all of the Arab world unified as Muslim, there's going to be a lot less inner strife because they all adhere to this larger narrative. When a struggle does occur, when a war does occur, it occurs on a vast scale. So instead of just two smaller nations fighting each other, you have the entire Christian world and the entire Islamic world going at each other in the Crusades. Or you have, like in the 30 Years' War, where you have a coalition of Catholics and a coalition of Protestants fighting each other. So for the most part, religion unifies people because it brings them into this meta narrative and allows them to find common ground when they otherwise would have nothing in common. It draws us away from that highly localized tribal identity that characterized human life prior to the emergence of these great religions sprawling over a big area. But again, if war does occur between two religious groups, then that leads to something kind of like World War I, where you have all these nations pulled into a single great conflict, and of course that can make the scale of it even bigger when that conflict does happen. So I think that's something that's interesting. It's very interesting, and it's very important to get right when you're writing about war and religion in your fantasy world.